going to call to order. We have met in closed session. There's a quorum. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There's a flag. Yeah. Okay.
Julie Beckman?
Here.
Deb Boyle?
Here.
Mike Davenport?
Here.
Keith Mattoon?
Here.
Terry Pavasich?
Here.
Rick Pavanato?
Here.
Nancy Kupka?
Here. Thank you. We'll start with approval of minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes for February 24th, regular and closed meeting?
So moved?
Mike moves.
Second.
Julia seconds. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
March 10th. Do we have any minutes for March 10th?
We're the 24th
Open house
closed
meeting.
session.
We can prove them all.
We can approve them all. The thing of it is, I wasn't here for the 12th, so I have to abstain from
I
the 12th.
see.
Oh, okay, well, we could do them all, and you can just,
Well, I'll move that we accept the minutes from March 10th and March 12th.
I second.
Is that, oh, you wanted to approve
That's
for
fine,
March?
that's fine, that's fine.
It'll pass.
Sorry.
Mike,
You're right.
it'll pass. Mike motions, Rick seconds. I abstain. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. This is the opportunity for our,
For clarification, Dr. Kupka, for the board, been advised by our legal counsel that when we have the recognition open house program, that is in fact a meeting. In the fact, by having a meeting, we are supposed to have an agenda and minutes. That's why this is the first time we have minutes from that meeting.
thank you. Thank you for clarifying that, Dr. McDonald. First reception of visitors. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak to the board about anything on the agenda for tonight? Hearing none, we'll go on to the recommendations and reports of the superintendent.
Thank you, Dr. Kupka. The first report is an update about the strategic plan, and this seems to be the project that we could not finish. Worked on it for weeks at a time. We continue to find new information, and it is a living document, so not necessarily a bad thing to have new information, but I don't think it was posted in time for the board to read it, so I'm just going to highlight it. I'm not going to go through it, but I am going to highlight a couple points, and I've asked several of my colleagues to do so as well. I think the board knows that throughout the course of the year, we've made a point to have presentations on individual aspects of this. I think that's a better way to keep the board updated about it than at every 3 or 4 months to have a written document. The written document is good accountability, but I think the board has a better sense of what we're doing when they can see the presentations and the people who are actually involved in the work. As you know, the district goals are a function of the strategic plan, and we set it up with different numbering. There are seven different areas. The first area is curriculum instruction. Just want to touch briefly on a couple of things within curriculum instruction. One is our ongoing effort to provide interventions for students. There are several levels. Level 1 is a classroom teacher level. Level 2 is more the guidance and counseling or special support, and then level 3, it's really special program for those kids that have the greatest need. But one thing I thought was very powerful, been asking our teachers for several years to do classroom interventions and record them. And what we found in the first semester, it went from 9,570 different interventions recorded to 12,116, which is a 26% increase. So that speaks very highly of our teachers that they're embracing this concept and trying to do extra things to help kids be successful, and they are taking the time to record those. And that does show up in the grades our kids are receiving. We are not at the 90% ABC yet, but we're getting close. I think we're around 80% at this point for the first semester. So that's very good. Another area that we've spent a lot of time on is in developing rigorous coursework and encouraging our kids to take rigorous coursework. One of the reasons both of our schools now are in the U.S. News and World Report list of outstanding high schools is because of the number of kids who are taking advanced placement and honors level courses. And we have mechanisms within the schools to encourage kids to take these courses and to support them when they're doing that. Another thing we've done often the last several years is to add new curriculum. And I just want to give you a couple figures. Newly adopted AP Environmental Science course is 54 students at North and 70 at South. That's great for a new course. Newly revised AP Music Theory course at 16 students at North and 20 at South. And that's going to run in conjunction with another course, so that's not one we had to cancel. But again, that's more kids taking advanced placement. And then, of course, as we talked about last week, we have 25 students enrolled in Art History AP at North. So we are creating new courses and our students are taking advantage of them. That's a very positive thing. In terms of STEM, that's been another focus we haven't spent a lot of time discussing. We have, in fact, this year offered 2 new STEM courses, Advanced Placement AP Physics C Mechanics, where we have 104 students enrolled, in Project Lead the Way, Introduction to Engineering, where we have 118 students enrolled. And our records show that our students are doing well in those classes with a very high success rate in terms of A's, B's, and C grades. Moving on to facilities, the board is aware that we completed the transition facility project that was added to the strategic plan a couple years ago because of necessity, and we're all very pleased with that facility. I do want to bring up something that we need to discuss, the board needs to discuss with the administration perhaps sometime this summer, and that is our philosophy for renting our facilities. I mean, we first got into, or changed, I would say changed our philosophy a couple years ago about renting to try to maximize our revenue from those facilities. And I think we also have an obligation, since we have upgraded our facilities significantly, to allow the community to use them, as long as we can do so at zero cost to us without any concern about vandalism and cost of maintenance. However, I think we do need to discuss, because, you know, and we are making money. We are more than paying for the position we hired to schedule facilities, so we are more than making money right now for that purpose. It's just the question is how far do we want to push the envelope in the future, because we have had some sort of unfortunate situations with for-profit renters who are not necessarily nice to our neighbors. And I think when we start getting into the area of causing hardship for our neighbors, then we have to really rethink what we're doing. And I don't think the neighbors are going to be concerned about youth leagues in our community using the facilities, but they could be for certain groups of adults that may use them. So that's something I think we need to talk about in the future. In the area of technology, frankly, we're not going to make a report, but we are going to make one within the next couple months, because there has been quite a bit of work done about planning an eventual one-to-one, which is a buzzword, but it really means students have access to their own technology. And both developing an operational plan to implement that over a period of time, and also to develop a vision for how that's going to work. So we are right now working on that and actually putting in a lot of time at this point. We're not ready to present tonight, but we will be able to present before the end of the school year, and I'm looking forward to that. In terms of resources, personnel, staff development, and finances, Pete could not be here tonight. He's recruiting, which is part of our strategic plan. But I do want to advise the board that we continue to spend a lot of time on the teacher evaluation process, interpreting it. The Danielson model is a very difficult model to grasp, and those several board members are teachers. I think you understand that and from a different perspective. But it's important for both the administrators and the teachers to understand this, so we spent a lot of time understanding the model and revising our procedures. We've had training throughout the year for administrators and department heads about inter-rater reliability, so everyone believes they're getting a fair evaluation through the process. It's just an ongoing thing we've had to do, but it's something we have in fact spent a lot of time on, and people need to know that. There are a couple other areas in resources and personnel. We do have a cohort group of National Board Certification teachers that's been meeting. They meet periodically. We've been able to obtain the services of a consultant who works with the National Board Certification Organization. We were hoping at one time to do this every year, but it's such a strenuous process, it's really not possible to do every year, at least from the perspective of the consultant. So we're in the second year of this, and actually we're in the first year of this, and we probably won't start another group for another year and a half. And in as much as one of the areas we really haven't made a lot of inroads in terms of developing specific graduate courses to address our needs. We have been in contact with several schools offering these programs, St. Francis and Concordia, in terms of advertising the programs and their locations to our staff. So we are working with them, but it's not at the level we eventually hope it to be. In terms of communications, at the May workshop, the board will receive training. We have hired a consultant who I'm understanding is very strong. She will work with the board at the workshop, and then she'll work with the administrative staff during the day. And I presume it's primarily about, interacting with the media, talking to the media, messaging to the public, how to be transparent, but also control the information, and so it's in a logical flow. And that's a project we have coming up for the board in May. And let's see. Okay, I'm going to have Gina will talk a little bit about the Avid program. I know the board is interested in that because that's one of the ways that we've been trying to address the students who have not previously been interested in college, who we would like to be interested in college and higher level coursework.
So just a little bit of background. I know you've heard about Avid before, but just a refresher. Avid stands for Advancement via Individual Determination, and it's a college prep program targeted for middle level students. So not for students who ordinarily would be in the honors or accelerated courses, but those students that fall in the middle. While Avid has criteria, and a student doesn't have to meet all of the criteria to be an Avid, it is designed for students who are underrepresented, whether that means minority students, free and reduced lunch students, whether that means ELL or special education students. It really is for students to give them support in the most rigorous courses, specifically honors and accelerated courses, so they can be successful in those classes. We started this year with a freshman class at North and a freshman class at South. It is an actual credit-bearing course, so they earn credit during the school day. It's elective credit. It meets for a full period, and there is a curriculum. So we basically purchased the curriculum through Avid, and curriculum days are Monday and Wednesday, and tutorial days are Tuesday and Thursday. And tutorials are not what you might think of in terms of tutoring. They're highly structured. They are student-led in a sense, that students come with a point of confusion, and the group, through inquiry process, moves the student along in the process. So it's tutoring much different than what we might think of as tutoring. And then Friday is our binder days to check binders, have guest speakers, field trips, discussions, those kinds of things. Very exciting. I've been in each Avid classroom at least 3 times, both at North and at South, to observe. I've seen everything from tutorials to directed lessons to student-led discussions. Very exciting work that they're doing. All of the students at least started in an honors course or an accelerated course. And what I mean by accelerated is, for example, geometry. Okay, that's not a freshman level course, so that's accelerated. Or a freshman who comes into Spanish 2 or French 2 would be another example of accelerated. So all of the students entered school this year. There are a couple who did not remain in the honors class, but by and large, about 90% remained in the honors class with the Avid support. One of the goals of Avid is that every student completes at least one AP course by the time they graduate. And so we're moving students in that direction. And you can see from some of the figures that Dr. McDonald shared in the written report, we have 16 students at North, 21 at South currently, and they are all going on into Avid sophomore year. So they're all staying in the program and matriculating into the sophomore level. What's really exciting to me is that the GPA, now we're only looking at first semester, we're only semester in, is pretty comparable at 3.02 compared to 3.04 for the average freshman in District 99. And considering these are students who would not normally have been in an honors or accelerated course, I think that's impressive. These students are getting the support they need to be successful. We have a new class coming in, so next year we'll have a freshman level and a sophomore level. We have expanded our site team. There's actually an Avid site team in each building, which has representation from the core areas, a teacher from each department. We have counseling and social worker psych support on there as well. And we've expanded our site team from our original site team last year as well. So basically, the course is running smoothly. We had our Avid our Avid regional director come in and observe at South in the fall and was extremely impressed with the work that we're doing. In fact, he said that the tutorial matched that of schools that had been in Avid for several years. He is planning, by the way, to come out to North in the spring. So basically, next year we'll have 2 classes. All students will be enrolled in an honors. Could be an AP course. We do have sophomore AP US History, for example. Or an accelerated course.
I'm going to ask Scott to talk a little bit about the, our analysis of the co-teaching model, a conundrum that we've tried to solve for several years now, and perhaps now we have a solution.
Well, we're still collecting and analyzing our data, and we're looking forward to presenting all that to you in May. But I'm excited about our initial analysis because we've identified, looking at the data, the 2007 school year as a shift in where our students started to perform better. What I'm excited about with that is that was the year that we really made an effort in this district to start offering 300 level co-taught classes and trying to reduce our 200 level co-taught classes. So, our assumption was this going to work? And the plan originally was like, yes, teaching 300 will help the kids, and it's really, starting to show that. The initial results really show in reading and math about a 20% gains for students meeting or exceeding the PSAEs. So we're kind of taking the pre 2007 school year averages and taking the 2008 through this school year, or last school year's averages, and we're showing about a 20% increase, which is really nice. At both schools, we're currently co-teaching in the 4 core academic areas of, the English, math, science, and social studies. The nice thing is of the sections, we have about 45 sections at North running and 55 sections at South. They're all almost exclusively the 300 level. So we've seen a shift, from that as well. I'm kind of brief today. That's kind of our initial results. I look forward to giving you all the data and the charts and all that to look at in May, but we're excited so far about the data.
And we have been working diligently on the master facility plan, and Jim is going to brief the board on our work thus far.
We've been meeting monthly, on a monthly basis, the District 99 team and White Architects since last August. Our goal is to complete June 30th of 2014. Just a reminder of what the plan consists of: facility upgrades and modifications to meet the needs of future educational programs. So 3 parts to that planning process that we've been going through. Part 1, and we've already completed this part, is the visioning and data collecting. We're on part 2 right now. We're assessing each building, and we're meeting with the department heads. We've completed that phase. We want to include CMG and support staff, and we're doing that within the next week. I'd like to compliment the department heads and our staff, both North and South. What a great amount of valuable insight from their departments and their needs specific to their department. So job well done to that group. The final stage of part 2 will be possible community engagement, and this topic we're going to discuss in early April. Part 3 is putting it all together. We'll create a consensus facility improvement plan from everyone that was involved. It'll include project bundling scenarios and phasing schedules to implement this plan and recommendations. That'll also include budget numbers and costs. So that's kind of piecing it all together and a few months away.
Thank you, Jim. And finally, Mrs. Browning is going to talk about the community engagement, since she's had a lot of participation in that.
Yep, excuse me. I think that everyone at District 99 considers it a value to have community relationship and build those partnerships. And it's in our strategic plan to improve our collaboration and outreach. And we do this in formal ways. First, the District 99 Education Foundation Pizza Awards fundraiser was an excellent example of this. And the district supported that, but it was a positive event that connected lots and lots of people, over 500 people, I think, that we counted. All ages were there in support of the district. So that's one thing to highlight. Another is our partnership with the Downers Grove Chamber of Commerce, their Attainable Futures program. And that helps students understand what is in the future for them, workforce, like filling out job applications, for example, different things with that. So a record number of students have signed up for that. We've gone from probably about 35 to 60, so we've gone from 1 bus to 2 buses. So that's positive progress. And we also do a lot of informal partnerships, day-by-day basis. With District 58, we help promote their events. We help promote the villages of Downers Grove and Woodridge, all of their events in our newsletters. So we're always communicating with them and trying to cross-promote events. So that's just kind of a recap, and we'll continue to find opportunities for our students and for ourselves, too.
And I'll wrap up the presentation. As we've gone through this, we think we've probably accomplished quite a bit from what we originally set out to do. One of our disadvantages is we don't have it recorded in any one place, and so that's a project we have for the summer to go back and record everything in one document that shows the work we've done and the work that we have yet to do. I think we'd also like to go back and look at how much we have yet to do that we haven't begun. I do believe there are parts of the strategic plan that we originally laid out that we probably have not addressed yet, because it was supposed to be a long-term plan. But I think it's probably helpful at some time in the future that we say, okay, we're done, and we need to start a new one. I know that individual board members have some ideas about what they would like to see in the plan. One of the things I think is very good about a strategic plan is you agree at a set of outcomes and you work on them for several years. That creates stability, so I like that. And that the problem with that, though, is it doesn't always honor input during the course of the time. So there needs to be a time when we say we're finished and we're ready to get new input and or new goals, a new direction, and start again. But those are projects for the summer. But those are things that I think will be very helpful as we continue this process. Questions?
Impressive to see how much you've accomplished.
I think everybody's just shaking their heads, saying, job well done, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
A lot of work from a lot of people.
Yes, it is.
And worth doing, I have to say. I mean, I know this is ongoing, and you're doing this, whether you take the time to report it back to us, and you know it takes time to put the report together, so I'm very appreciative of that, but it's good because it just keeps us on track, keeps us focused. It reminds us, too, as a board, what it is we're trying to accomplish, and that's good, too. Thank you.
Okay. Ready to move on to freedom of information? The district received 3 freedom of information requests over the past month. Each one was addressed by Mr. Stalen.
not, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there anything on the consent agenda that any member of the board would like to discuss further? No? Do I hear a motion?
So moved to
Move to-
approve the consent agenda.
Terry moves,
A second.
Rick seconds.
Terry Pavasich,
Aye.
Rick Pavanato,
Aye.
Julia Beckman,
Aye.
Deb Boyle,
Aye.
Mike Davenport,
Aye.
Keith Mattoon,
Aye.
Nancy Kupka.
Aye. Thank you. Recommendations for action?
And both these recommendations are personnel related. Administration reviewed all of these with the board at our staffing workshop last Wednesday.
Any questions?
Really appreciated the report we got
Yeah,
last
it was a good
Wednesday and the
report.
review.
Do we hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing notice of dismissal to non-tenured teachers other than final year probationary teachers, and that the president and secretary be authorized to sign the same.
Second that.
Rick motions, Deb seconds.
Rick Pavanato,
Aye.
Deb Boyle,
Aye.
Julia Beckman,
Aye.
Mike Davenport,
Aye.
Keith Mattoon,
Aye.
Terry Pavasich,
Aye.
Nancy Kupka.
Aye. Carrie?
There's a second resolution.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing honorable reduction in tenured teachers assignment, and that the president and secretary be authorized to sign the same.
And I'll second that as well.
Okay, Rick motions, Deb seconds.
Rick Pavanato,
Aye.
Deb Boyle,
Aye.
Mike Davenport,
Aye.
Keith Mattoon,
Aye.
Terry Pavasich,
Aye.
Julia Beckman,
Aye.
Nancy Kupka.
Aye. Policy Committee?
First item is a second reading, 3.60, administrative responsibility of the principal and assistant principals, and 4.150, facility management and building programs, and 4.160, environmental quality, and we haven't had any additional comments or concerns raised to us, so I would move that we approve these policies as presented here this evening.
Mike moves.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Mike Davenport,
Aye.
Rick Pavanato,
Aye.
Julia Beckman,
Aye.
Deb Boyle,
Aye.
Keith Mattoon,
Aye.
and Nancy Kupka.
Aye.
Forgot me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Terry Pavasich, I apologize. I knew I'd do it once. At least.
Still count.
We knew you were there in spirit. Claire.
Yeah, well, okay.
Yeah.
It passed anyway.
New Business Policy Committee?
Right, so we have first reading tonight, and 8.10, and 8.20, 8.30, and 8.80 are all items that have a corresponding ISB policy. So we're bringing those forward as you see them here for consideration. 8.70, 8.95, 8.100, and 8.110 are actually ISB policies for which there are no current district policies. So we're bringing those forward for your consideration. 8.40, and I think that's it around here. Yeah, 8.40 is a policy for which there is no corresponding ISB policy, but we've had this one, and we'd like to keep it as you see it presented. And I think that covers all of them. So we've had some good discussion. We've met about them. We've made some adjustments here and there, and mostly minor. So what you're seeing here is what ISB is recommending for the most part, with the exception of at least the one policy that there currently isn't corresponding. Please let us know, Rick and I. Mark, if you have any comments?
When do you need to know by? When's your next meeting?
Not this Thursday, but next Thursday.
Great.
So you know by next
So a
Thursday.
week from Thursday is when we meet again.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Yep, and we're moving towards the end on these things.
We are.
No.
We're near the
Yeah.
end now?
Wow.
We should finish this by the next 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
Then we
Then
start
our-
again, huh?
then it's quarterly, then we
Well-
get quarterly
Thanks.
reports.
Right, when we, the
some
benefit
ladders.
now, though, is that because we've done such a good job over the past several years, and trying to continue that, obviously, going forward, of aligning our policies to ISB and making those adjustments where it makes sense for us here in District 99. Going forward, we can rely on ISB to, because they're constantly going through and updating and relooking at things. They're on, is it a 3-year cycle, I believe? So now we can just focus on looking at those things as they come into us, as opposed to what we've been doing, where we've had to go through the entire policy and try to get it update, and some policies not being touched for 20 and 30 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we'll have a document that is in sync with ISB, and we have obviously a record of those adjustments we've made, and the process will be a lot smoother, easier, so long as we're diligent about staying up with things and don't let it slide. So it's good news.
You worked hard. Thanks for all the work.
You're welcome.
I have no comments on any of these. I thought they were fine. They were great.
Thank you. Yep.
But a week from Thursday.
Yes.
A week from Thursday.
Any other questions or comments before moving on? Okay, that brings us to the second reception of visitors, where anyone in the audience can approach the board on any subject pertaining to the Board of Education. Hearing none, we'll move on to communications and announcements. Lend,
Thank you. There is no news to report, and there'll be a meeting within the next week or two, and we'll have a report after that.
Sassen? Julia?
I just wanted to show that there's a new sort of welcoming report from SASSET. I'll be glad to pass it around, or maybe make copies of it available, maybe if Julie could make them available. It's a really nice little summary of all the services and programs that are offered by SASSET, and it's to give to parents, but also to people in the community. There's an ongoing effort to make SASSET a little more public in the community, with a little more visibility, because SASSET represents how many communities? I don't know, but it's a huge area, so it's really hard. And this is a document that will help in that regard.
Okay. Did you have anything about the humanities?
Just that we've just welcomed a new executive director, and I met with him a few days ago. I don't remember what day it was, and he's got some exciting ideas for making some of the programs. The Humanities Council has a lot of diverse range of programs all over the state. Some of them not as effective now as they maybe used to be, so there's going to be a whole new reevaluation of all the programs, and I'll have more to report as time goes on, but it's a very exciting time for the Humanities Council.
Thank you. And Julie, could you send out a scanned copy of that to all
Yes.
the board members? Thank
Yes.
you.
I'll give it
Terry?
to you.
We discussed last meeting at the foundation about the Pizza Wars, and it'll be the Thursday of finals week in January again next year. And we hope to expand our pizza parlors to 12. And we're also recruiting some new members. So we're doing a lot of different things in the foundation.
Nice. Okay, does anybody have anything else they want to bring up?
Just, some of us were able to attend the ISB regional meeting, and we had interesting presentations from our own District 58, as well as I think it was 204.
Correct.
Talking about one-to-one technology, both 58's adoption of actually purchasing devices, right, for students to use, versus 204, much larger district, and knowing that financially they weren't going to be able to do that, looking at alternative ways to do that. So they call it BYOT, bring your own technology, and so we heard about how that was implemented, and so it was enlightening. There's pros and cons to both, and in both cases they seem to be pretty happy with how they've gotten things started. Although I know that funding is definitely a concern, for District 58 for sure going forward. So, but timely, given that this is something that we're talking about here too.
And in piggybacking with that, I did talk to the folks in 68, and they still would like to get together with us as some sort of a joint,
The joint board thing.
Unfortunately, the superintendent's meeting was a casualty of the snow last week.
yeah, well, hey, that seemed to be the story of our lives, isn't it?
This
this
winter it
year?
is, yeah.
Well, this is a parking lot issue too, right?
Yes, and I saw it on the parking lot too, and I thought I would just kind of throw that out there, that they're
Dovetails
they're
right in.
very interested in doing something together with us, because they feel it's really it's good to communicate with those feeder districts and those board members also. So they just didn't want us to forget it.
Nancy, I just wanted to mention too that maybe some of the other board members got to go to Shrek at North High, which was a fabulous presentation. I just wanted to give kudos to the North High staff and the students. It was really great fun. Their shows at both North and South are always good. Shrek was a huge cast, monumental thing to do, but it was really fun, hugely attended. I don't know whether all the nights were sold out, but Friday night, really? Wow. It was wonderful, and credit to the staff and the kids for putting it on.
I just have one other
Go ahead.
thing, I'm sorry, is last week at Downers North, we did Young Hearts for Life.
Yeah. How did that
And
go?
we did 1,200 students. And it was really a very well attended and had a lot of volunteers from the community, and it was really a great event. And then we're doing it at South here on the 10th and the 11th of April. And I think it's really important for folks to sign up their children and sign the papers and get that going, because we'll have a lot of volunteers for those 2 days. And I know our administrators over there are shaking their heads that yes, it's really worthwhile. So
And funds for that was funded by the
it was
foundation.
funded partly by the foundation and also Good Sam. So it was a joint effort. So that was really good.
And as a parent who's traveled with Screen, thank you. Anything else? Okay, we have upcoming board meetings. April 14th, we'll have a special meeting, and April 21st, a regular business meeting at 7:30 in the ASC. We walked through the parking lot last time. Anything before we come to adjournment? Do we have a motion?
So moved?
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Thank you all.